Hey mommies, happy Tuesday. So it's like the beginning of a brand new week. And I just wanted to share with you, moms, a really weird experience that I had last week. I was at the park and we were actually in the playground part of the park. And there was like a bunch of kids that were running around. And my 2-year-old and my husband were on the playground, just playing around and stuff. And I have a tiny little dog that is like a, a child magnet, a little chihuahua. And my dog is like everywhere you take her, like she's just a magnet. All the kids want to touch her and pet her and be around her and hold the leash. So I was just chilling out with Isaac, in my little blanket and stuff. And my chihuahua, she's called Felicia. So she was just hanging around. And then obviously all the kids start coming around. And usually it's not like the really, really young kids. It's like around, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess all the kids that don't have pets at home. And they just want to touch her and stuff like that. So they all start hanging around with me and laying in my blanket and stuff. And I was breastfeeding Isaac, and a couple of them, there was one in particular that was like really talkative, and he was asking me lots of questions about Felicia and stuff. And he hadn't noticed that I was breastfeeding him until I guess he maybe moved to my side here where Isaac's head was, and he noticed, and he's like, he looked kind of like, I don't know if upset or outraged or scared or what it was, but he looked at me and he said, "Why are you putting your stomach in his mouth?" And I was like, I didn't really know how to answer. So I was like, no, it's not my stomach. It's my breast. That's how he's eating. And he's like, "How can he eat with your breast like that?" And I said, he's drinking milk. He's having his lunch. That's how babies eat. They eat out of their mom's breast. And he's like, "Oh my God." And he's like doing all these faces like really? Like, show me where the milk comes from. How? And he's like asking me all these questions, and it dawned on me that this kid has probably never seen a mom breastfeeding before. And I was pretty like amazed, like a kid that he must have been like maybe 7, 8. I was like, in all that time, he's never seen someone breastfeeding, because first of all, he was thinking that I'm putting my stomach in his face, and he's like, I'm making him eat my stomach. So that totally tells me there maybe he's never seen anybody breastfeeding, because maybe even if he's seen someone with the baby at the breast, he would have been a little bit less outraged. And then he was even more outraged when I told him that milk was coming out of my breast, and that's how I was feeding my baby. So it kind of made me sad too, and I tried to explain to him. I was like, I don't want to go into too much details, and if it was my kid, I would definitely pop out my boob and show him how milk is coming out. It would be something completely normal, but we're in the middle of a park, and obviously this is not my kid and everything, so I had to be kind of cautious about how I reacted and how I explained. And to be honest, he caught me completely off guard, because I've never had a situation like this before. I've breastfed in front of a lot of children before, my nieces, nephews. In fact, last year, the year before with Isaac, my niece and my nephew were here, and my brother even made the comment, we don't know Samuel's face because he's always stuck to your boob. And my nephews were completely, normal about it. It was not a big deal. It was like, okay, Isaac's having lunch, Isaac's having a nap, Isaac's having dinner, whatever. It was just completely normal. But it is really sad to see that, and then we wonder why people have these situations in like public places where they're like given bad looks, or they're told to leave, or they have to go to the bathroom. How can we expect anything else? Because our children are not exposed to breastfeeding in public. So what else can we expect? So it kind of just made all these thoughts circle through my head about how we need to normalize it, and we need to breastfeed more in public. Us as moms, as breastfeeding moms, we have, I guess it's kind of like not an obligation, but we should be doing it in public so it becomes more and more normal. And if this generation of kids are brought up with this, picture that breastfeeding is normal, that it's cool, that it's something that babies are just born to do, then it's not going to become something that later on would be something that someone might become offended with. So, yeah, it just completely threw me off guard, and I was kind of sad, really. I was like, oh my God, this child has never seen a mom breastfeeding. I mean, probably his mom or his parents or the circle of family that he's around have never done it before, and maybe they don't even discuss it. And the fact that he was like a little bit like outraged, it made me feel even more like, oh my God, like he's like thinking that it's like nasty. Like, yeah, it just made me really, really upset to think that a child this young and this innocent, you know, he's only like 7, 8, that he was thinking that way already, you know? So I just kind of wanted to get your views on it, see if any of you have ever had like any weird experiences like that before and how you handled them, and how, you know, as moms, what else can we do to help these kids grow up with this image that breastfeeding is something that's completely normal and it's something beautiful and there's nothing nasty about it or weird about it at all. And also, I think the more we breastfeed around our children, I think that's really important too. I think maybe some parents sometimes, when they have a child, they breastfeed that child. Now that child's a little bit older and they have a new baby, you know, how do they handle the whole breastfeeding thing? Because is there going to be like jealousy involved or anything like that? For me personally, it's something that we share together. So I made it fun. So what I would do is, from the beginning, when I brought Isaac home, I did sense that Samuel was a little bit jealous at the beginning, especially because he was like, okay, this is not something that I do with mom, only Isaac does with mom. So he was really curious. So in fact, what I did is I offered him the breast. I said, okay, if you don't want your bottle, which we call tete, I said, if you don't want your tete, then you want to have milk from here? And I kind of explained, and he was kind of like, touching my nipple and like, I'm not sure. I think I'll have my tete. So I was like, okay, that's fine. If that's what he's comfortable with, then I'm comfortable with that too. But I made it something that we could all share. So when I would be breastfeeding Isaac, I would have a bunch of books, like his favorite books around. So I get him to grab the book, and then we read the book while Isaac is breastfeeding. And then now he's fun. So as soon as he sees me sat down breastfeeding him, he's bringing me all the books. Like, okay, he's breastfeeding. This is time to read our books. Let's sit down and do that. So it's become something fun and something normal for him, and something that he doesn't feel like maybe he's missing out on. So it's really cool, and that's the way that I've handled it, and it's I think helped us to avoid any like jealousy or confrontations between them, especially because that is something that is so intimate. So maybe the other siblings can feel a little bit like they're out of place or they're missing out on something that mommy is just giving to this new baby. So that's a really good way. Make it something fun, something that they enjoy. Maybe they like playing with cars, so get a bunch of cars out. Or maybe there's I would really encourage like a TV show and stuff like that, especially with really young kids. I try to limit the screen time, but if that's something you want to do, then that's another option too. But try and make it something that you can involve all your kids while you're breastfeeding. Obviously, your hand's a little bit difficult to move around everywhere, but something that is comfortable for all of you. And then they grow up with these experiences that breastfeeding is something nice, and it brings the family together, and it's something cool and comfortable and beautiful. And I just wanted to get your mom's experience, because I'm telling you, I was so thrown back by that experience that I have. As soon as my husband came, he's like, "Oh, what is that kid doing? He keeps like sitting next to you." And I told him, he's like, "Wow, like, my God, is that what he said?" Like, you couldn't, I mean, kids say the weirdest things, but it was just the way that he said it, and that it really threw us off guard, that this child has never seen anybody breastfeeding before, and that he must think it's like an alien type thing that's going on there. So just wanted to get your mom's opinions out there. You know, have you had any weird experiences with breastfeeding in public and children, and how have you handled it? Have their parents maybe been there and said something too? That would be interesting to know also. I would have loved to have, you know, interacted with this kid's mom and maybe, you know, give her kind of my opinion and my 2 cents on breastfeeding, and maybe like why, and kind of ask more why his reaction was that way. And also, if you have, going back to children and breastfeeding, if you have other children, how have you handled breastfeeding your youngest with them being around? Because it can be a little bit challenging at first, especially because it can create those like confrontations and a little bit of jealousy between them. So just wanted to get your mommy's opinions out there. So thank you so much for joining. I see there that my sister-in-law, Sophie, she's there. And I was actually just talking about William and Holly and how cool and relaxed they were when I was feeding when I was feeding Samuel, and I'm sure they will be too when I'm feeding Isaac. So thank you out there. Have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye, mommies. Kisses.